Now at 7 o'clock, a Portland landmark damaged by protests 5 years ago is on its way back. Sunrise reporter Thomas Schultz is going to join us live here in just a few minutes with more on when we might see the elk statue back and the traffic impacts during this project.
I remember her telling me, well, you can't wear it here, you're in jail. And I responded with, just because I'm in jail doesn't mean I'm no longer Muslim.
Two sisters suing the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office after they say they were forced to remove their hijabs during their arrest. How they hope this lawsuit brings change. Oh yeah, the sounds and the sights from last Friday night led to this cleanup effort on Saturday. We're going to talk more about Portland's fireworks ban, the fact that it was ignored by thousands of people on Friday, and just how many reports of illegal fireworks Portland Fire and Rescue says they got within the first hour after sunset on Friday. The Sunrise Show, streaming live at 7 o'clock, starts right now. Good morning. Thanks for joining us on this Monday. I'm Drew Carney. China Green has the morning off, but these two guys do not. They are ready to go here at 7 o'clock. Chris on traffic, Rod on weather. Rod, we start with you.
Yeah, this is the comfy part of our day. Good morning to you. 7 o'clock hour. Temperature is starting to warm up now. We're 62. It is clear. Most inland areas perfectly clear, in fact, including downtown Portland. We're at 60 degrees. Not crazy hot, but hot enough that you may decide to take care of some activities during the morning hours. It'll be 77 at noon, and then we do think we have a good chance just to get up to 90 for high in Portland this afternoon. Yesterday's high was 85, so you'll notice the big bump in category in terms of temperature. Here's Chris.
Rod, thanks for that. I want to take you back to Salmon Creek, I-205 southbound, just past the I-5 interchange. Got a crash here involving, it looks like a truck and one other car. There was a car on the left shoulder there, just cleared a couple of minutes ago, but there you can see emergency responders still on scene. And that I-5 to 205 transition in Salmon Creek, this is southbound again, is slowing along here at about 10 miles an hour. So plan a few extra minutes to get around that. Of course, the drive from Clark County, a little busy on I-5, but not bad. 15 minutes gets you in from Main Street south to the Fremont Bridge. Drew?
All right, thank you, Chris. Top story here at 7 o'clock. One of Portland's most recognizable landmarks is making a comeback. The construction project that will bring the elk statue back to downtown begins today. Sunrise reporter Thomas Schultz is covering this story for us live in downtown this morning. Thomas, we've talked about this already this morning, the fact that this project has really been a long time in the making.
It's been a long time in the making, Drew, and we're starting to see some of those traffic impacts. I want to show you right now. You can see that morning commute is in full swing here on 3rd and Main. But we walk right over here to where this elk statue was and will be again. You can see it's completely been blocked off here now on 3rd and 4th Avenue. This just happened in the past few minutes here. You can see up there, they're actually closing the other part of the street. And of course, the elk statue will return to its prominence right there in the middle. Now, it's been gone for 5 years now, since the base of it was damaged in protest in 2020. But this is a really historic part of downtown Portland, a statue that's 125 years old. It's been a staple of downtown since 1900. They're going to bring it back, and construction is going to take some time here. This roadway, 3rd and 4th Avenue, is expected to be closed throughout the winter, again, closing down Main Street, and that's something that commuters are going to have to bear in mind and be aware of already this morning. We've seen people have to switch up their commute. This project's not going to be cheap either. It'll cost $1.5 million to bring the statue back. And city officials are planning to restore it to all of its luster, of course, by also adding some elements to the bottom of the statue with mechanical upgrades. Portlanders we spoke with are just really excited that this project, 5 years after the statue was taken away, will now be coming back.
I mean, as soon as I saw a random article about it coming back, I almost cried. It was like, finally.
To get this done, I think is a sign of progress.
And so, yeah, once again, of course, there's going to be some traffic impacts. You can see that map there. 3rd and 4th Avenue is closed. And back out here live, you can see these signs have been going up, and it's all across the roadway. Starting here, the sidewalk is closed. The bike lane, of course, is closed. And, I mean, you know, again, 3rd and 4th Avenue, guys, not just today, not just this week, but for months into the winter is now going to be closed in downtown Portland. So whether you're commuting here, whether this is part of your daily commute, or if you're just, whenever you're coming downtown, something to bear in mind is that this is an area that you will have to avoid for the next few months. Drew?
Yeah, an update that's going to impact a lot of people. Thomas Schultz there for us this morning in downtown Portland. Meanwhile, 2 sisters are suing the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office because they say they were forced to remove their hijabs during their arrest while taking part in a protest last June. One of the sisters told KGW's Celine Stevens that the experience left her traumatized.
It was just like one traumatic experience after another, and it just seemed like it just kept getting worse.
This is Serene Abuhawa. She and her sister were arrested last year after participating in a peaceful demonstration for Palestine at the Grand Floral Parade. Court documents stating she was taken into custody after lying in the street in protest with others. But it's what happened after she was arrested that led the sisters to file a lawsuit against the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office and 3 individual officers at the detention center.
I remember her telling me, well, you can't wear it here. You're in jail. And I responded with, just because I'm in jail doesn't mean I'm no longer Muslim. Like, I'm not taking it off.
She's talking about one of the female officers who demanded she take off her hijab. While she was eventually taken into a separate cell to remove it, court documents say her sister was forced to remove it in front of others. Abuhawa says she also endured invasive pat-downs.
I just remember her, untying my sweatpants and just pulling them away from my waist. I remember her asking me a question about my undergarment, my underwear. And this was all in front of the men, and it just felt so violating.
She was forced to take her mugshot without her hijab and was seen by numerous male officers as she waited late into the evening to be released and get her items back.
I felt naked, like hijab is something that is part of my identity, it's part of my modesty, and I'm not supposed to be revealed in that way.
Now, the hope with this lawsuit to bring a change to how those who wear religious coverings are treated when arrested.
The real heart of this case is that what happened was so avoidable. And it's a simple ask from these young women. They just want these photographs destroyed, and they don't want it to happen to somebody else.
Aya Beydoun is one of the attorneys representing the sisters. Her goal? To get all photos and video footage of the woman without their hijabs destroyed.
It's a very common accommodation that local prisons, state prisons, federal prisons all make for anyone who wears religious head coverings. Do they have to remove the woman's hijab in order to do a proper search and pat down, in order to have an identification photo? We say absolutely not.
Celine Stevens, KGW News.
By the way, the charges against both women related to their participation in that protest last June were eventually dismissed. We also reached out to the sheriff's office, but were told they don't comment on pending litigation or any of the circumstances surrounding it. In Clackamas County, the Gladstone School District is planning to cut more than 30 positions, in part because of rate increases to Oregon's retirement plan, better known as PERS. Gladstone Superintendent Jeremiah Patterson says the school system has to raise its PERS contribution next year by 14,000%. Overall, Gladstone will pay more than $2.3 million to PERS next year. And the superintendent expects this problem to last for a while because he says PERS payments are set to go up over the next 4 years. We asked to speak to Superintendent Patterson about this, but our interview request was denied. Despite the citywide ban on fireworks, Portland firefighters stayed busy on the 4th of July. Portland Fire and Rescue says its online fireworks reporting system logged a total of about 4,000 reports. Nearly 400 of those came in within an hour after sunset on Friday. But the fire department also said there were no major incidents. All right, let's talk about this park in the Lentz neighborhood that typically sees a lot of activity when it comes to setting off fireworks on the 4th. So that's why this local volunteer group called East Portland Collective has started hosting a cleanup at Glenwood Park following the 4th. One of the group's members told us it's become an activity that really does bring a lot of people together.
It's been beautiful to see families come out as a unit to clean up together, folks of all ages, little kids with rakes pulling trash, as well as elders, people of all backgrounds. It's been really beautiful to see everybody come out.
She also told us the cleanup effort helps the park get back in shape for a free concert that happens later this month. Really was a nice day throughout the area on the 4th of July, a great weekend, Rod. It's going to heat up, though, the next couple of days before we cool down again.
Yeah, remember it was overcast but dry on July 4th. The high out at the airport was only 71 degrees. And by the way, that wasn't really a marine layer. That was mostly blow-off cloudiness from thunderstorms in central and eastern Oregon. And the way the wind pattern went, it just kept blowing those clouds over Portland and gave us that overcast day. Other than that, it was mid-80s yesterday, and today we're going to be back up to 90 degrees. You're looking live at Mount Hood from the Oregon Veterans Home camera out in the Dalles, 65 degrees. You folks will warm up into the mid to maybe upper 90s this afternoon. The gorge wind forecast is pretty light. We're expecting light winds statewide. Here are the clear skies over downtown Portland. We are setting at 60 degrees. Temperatures out the door. I mean, it's a gorgeous morning. And again, this will be the most comfortable part of your day. I mean, it's that way almost any day, I guess you could say. 56 in Tigard, 58 in Dallas. Silverton, good morning. 56 for you out that way. Your temperatures for the morning hours shows 70 at 10 a.m., 77 at noon, and then mid-80s by 2 o'clock this afternoon. And then, of course, we'll add, I think, another 5 degrees to that in that 3-4 o'clock hour. So that'll put high temperatures for Portland up to about 90 degrees at 5 o'clock this afternoon. Low 90s in Salem, Albany, and Eugene. 65 to 70 at the coast. We're already seeing developing sun along the beaches at this hour. And then we have the clear skies in mid-90s in Bend and Madras, the Dalles, Pendleton also up into the mid-90s. Our 7-day forecast back-to-backers today and tomorrow hitting 90. And then we get a wave of cooler weather that will bring cloudiness with it. Only 76 degrees on Wednesday. We might get up to 80 morning clouds if they clear soon enough. And then we'll be back up to warm to hot weather on Friday. And I have us upper 80s for the upcoming weekend. Here's Chris.
Hot, dry weather, good for paving, right? All right, let's take it there. Photojournalist Chad Dehart is on Northeast Weiler here. This section of roadway will be getting some paving treatment over the next 9 days. Obviously, they've got one section there, one part of this road actually already coned off. So just be on the lookout for the construction crews that will be out there for lengthy hours today and actually through the middle of next week, through July 16th. That's part of several ongoing improvement projects to that part of Weiler. All right, let's take you out to the Columbia River Gorge. Highway 30, a section of it near Vista House is going to close today for the next several months as ODOT works to repair some landslide damage. And why this is significant, of course, is Vista House is a big tourist attraction. If you're trying to get there from today through the rest of the summer, you're going to need to access it from the Bridal Veil exit of Interstate 84. And if you're trying to get to Portland Women's Forum, you can use the Corbett exit. But that stretch of Highway 30 will be closed. All right, I-5 or I-205, I should say, in Salmon Creek, got a fender bender there that's got the right shoulder tied up. So there's some local slowing getting around that. Outside of that, Drew, our Monday morning commute has been relatively kind to us thus far.
Thank you, Chris. Still to come here on Sunrise, the death toll continues to rise because of the devastating floods in Texas, why the National Weather Service is facing questions and heat over this. Plus, several countries running out of time to make a deal on tariffs, how long they have to make a deal, and when we can expect to see higher tariffs go into effect. But before we go to break, a quick mention about the KGW School Supply Drive, which is coming soon. And now's the time for you to get on board. You can go to kgw.com/school to sign up your business or organization to be an official school supply drive collection site this year. Help us collect school supplies and send thousands of kids and teachers in the area back to school with all the tools they need.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
It's certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news, live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus.
Welcome back to Sunrise. We know at least 82 people have died in Texas and more are still missing after heavy rain caused the Guadalupe River to rise more than 20 feet in just 45 minutes. The National Weather Service is now under fire for underestimating the rainfall totals that led to the massive flooding. For more on that, here's NBC's Alice Barr in Washington, D.C.
President Trump back in Washington pledging support for flood-ravaged Central Texas and planning to visit later this week.
I would have done it today, but we'd just be in their way.
While pushing back on questions about whether cuts to the federal government left key vacancies at the National Weather Service.
They did not. They did. I'll tell you, if you look at that water situation, this is a 100-year catastrophe, and it's just so horrible to watch.
That as critics called for an investigation into staffing levels at the offices responsible for issuing flood warnings.
I know there are a number of important vacant positions, and that I and others have been asking for some time how this affects our preparedness here and ability to give alerts.
The legislative director for the National Weather Service Employees Union said the offices did have enough meteorologists to respond while raising concerns about unfilled senior positions. The National Weather Service released its timeline of alerts starting early Thursday and noting a 1:14 a.m. warning that triggered cell phone alerts. The White House saying the NWS did their job, while in Texas, the long and painful job to recover amid so much loss is just beginning. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
If I can jump in,
Yeah,
Drew,
sure.
I think that's a fair statement that the Weather Service did their job. I spent a lot of time looking at this over the weekend, and here's what's sad. Technology, meteorology is not good enough. It's not there yet. It's not good enough to say, hey, by the way, that forecast of up to 8, 9, 10 inches of rain, we're actually going to get, 7 inches of that coming down in this exact spot in a 3-hour period. And in that exact spot, almost all that water is going to go into the Guadalupe River. And over the next hour, that's going to cause literally a 30-foot surge in river levels. The science isn't good enough to pick that up. It's just not. And to make it worse, this happened overnight into early morning hours when, people are asleep. And that is the worst nightmare, I would tell you, for emergency forecasters. Something happens at night when people are asleep and not up yet.
Pretty much because they're not on staff at that time, or because it's too difficult to see, because
because you're sleeping.
Okay.
And if it's during the day, you're probably up and you're like, wow, this rain's really coming down, the river's starting to, and you're seeing things. But this happened in the snap of fingers while people were asleep, and that is typically the most deadly scenario. A very tragic story. I do want to show you a couple graphics on this. Here's a nearby, Camp Mystic was kind of the bullseye with the kids that were, I think we're assuming were asleep at that time, the early morning hours of Friday, July 4th. A nearby river gauge shows that the Guadalupe was just, kind of knee deep, right? And they get flood watches and warnings in this area quite often. But it was put out that this is estimated to be a 100-year flash flood event. And here's how that river just went up in the snap of a finger in less than, I think they said 30 minutes. It rose some 30 feet. You could see it here. And then on Saturday, it takes 24 hours to come back down. And the river's basically back down to about 4 feet this morning. There are still flood watches active in that area. Weather Service going 2 to 4 inches today with isolated amounts up to 10 inches. So there's still concern for active weather. Here's the timeline that was alluded to in that story that we just showed you. The first flash flood watch came out for the area Thursday afternoon. Thursday evening, that was upgraded to a flood warning. But again, a flood warning is pretty common in that area. And then 1:14 in the morning, now everybody's asleep, a considerable flood warning is issued. Now with the Weather Service, it's the middle of the night, but they're seeing intense rain amounts, rising water levels, heightened concern. And then 4:03 in the morning, still nighttime, emergency flood warning is issued. Now that is getting emergency personnel on guard to start responding. 4 to 8 inches was in the forecast. Actually, 7 inches came down in 3 hours, and that 27-foot rise of water on the Guadalupe River, 45 minutes. It's really hard to wrap your head around. And I think this is true. It's not good, but it's true. Speaking for myself as a forecaster, it's been caught up and not hit the bullseye on some significant events in my career. You've got to watch for something to see it. And if you've never seen it before, you're probably not watching for it, if you follow my logic on that. So that means, unfortunately, you do get caught off as a human being in some of these events of just not fully being able to understand how high the risk could be of what you're watching. Very tragic situation. A lot of research will be done on this. And as always, we'll hope this leads to improved forecasts in the future. Thunderstorms down in Texas this morning. Again, Weather Service believing some of these cells could drop 10 inches in some areas that get hit with repeated cells. There's Kerrville. This is down near that Camp Mystic area in the Guadalupe River. Current thunderstorm activities mainly to that north. I'm watching a cool down offshore for us. That's coming in Wednesday. We have some hot weather day tomorrow. Tomorrow there's a fire weather watch for parts of Central Oregon. There's a heat advisory for Hermiston, Pendleton, and up into the Columbia Basin of Washington. Again, those alerts are for tomorrow, not for today. Portland, not crazy hot, but hot. Clear skies today and tomorrow. Both today and tomorrow get up to about 90. There's that midweek cool down with some cloudiness that we saw in the satellite picture. Wednesday size 76. Here's Chris McGinnis.
Glad I watered yesterday. All right, let's get you out the door. A lot to look at here with this. We'll start off in Salmon Creek. This is our first and has been really our only trouble spot of the morning thus far. I-205 southbound, the ramp from I-5 south to 205 south, backing up a little bit as a result of that crash. It looks like the right shoulder's still tied up, so obviously folks appropriately slowing to get around that. We'll switch gears and show you the I-5 drive. This is up near SR 500, slow and steady from there down to the Interstate Bridge. And right now you're tripping from Main Street down to the Fremont is about 16 minutes or so. Taking you over to the west side, quick check of the Sunset inbound, ride the brakes a little bit coming down the hill past the zoo and into the tunnel. Look at those drive times. Again, not bad. Right now we're looking at about 20 minutes or so to get you in from Hillsboro to downtown and the drive in from Troutdale on I-84 westbound. Drew, that is also about a 20-minute ride at this point.
All right, thank you, Chris. Still to come here on Sunrise, the deadline to make a tariff deal is fast approaching. The countries that are looking to make a deal and when we can expect to see higher tariffs go into effect. Sunrise, streaming live at 7 o'clock, continues in 2 minutes.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
Welcome back to Sunrise. The White House is sending out letters to multiple countries today, urging them to make a trade deal to avoid higher tariffs. Now, the deadline to make those deals, originally set for Wednesday, has been pushed back at this point to August 1st. Here's NBC's Garrett Hake with more.
Fresh off his major legislative victory, President Trump now turning his attention to thorny tariff negotiations ahead of a 90-day deadline Wednesday for countries to strike a new trade deal with the U.S. or see tariffs spike.
The tariffs are going to be the tariffs. I think we'll have most countries done by July 9th.
The White House first setting a goal of 90 deals in 90 days after the president paused his so-called reciprocal tariffs in early April. But with talks stalling and just 3 framework agreements announced, the administration is now planning to set some countries' rates by letter and urging larger trading partners to finalize deals by August.
President Trump's going to be sending letters to some of our trading partners saying that if you don't move things along, then on August 1st, you will boomerang back to your April 2nd tariff level.
And while Republicans continue to celebrate the passage of the president's massive tax and border bill, the legislation's $3.3 trillion price tag appears to have once again severed the president's on-again, off-again alliance with the world's richest man, Elon Musk. Musk announcing he's forming a new political party, the America Party, writing on X, "Backing a candidate for president is not out of the question, but the focus for the next 12 months is on the House and Senate." Trump blasting Musk on social media as having gone, quote, off the rails and calling him a train wreck.
I think it's ridiculous to start a third party. Third parties have never worked, so he can have fun with it, but I think it's ridiculous.
Again, that was Garrett Hake reporting for us this morning. Speaking of President Trump, he spent the 4th of July holiday signing his new spending bill into law. The Big Beautiful Bill, as it's known, will extend the president's expiring 2017 tax cuts. It also threatens to cost millions of Americans access to Medicaid and SNAP benefits, and it's projected to add more than $3 trillion to the national debt over 10 years. Supporters say this bill will really eliminate wasteful spending and fraud while making the federal government more efficient, but critics say it's just a tax cut for the wealthy.
It's really hard. I wouldn't wish this on anyone.
Coming up in our next half hour of Sunrise, residents rebuilding months after floods devastated that part of Harney County. We're going to hear from residents in the town of Burns who are struggling to hang on. Plus, national parks put to the test with staffing shortages and the annual summer rush. Businesses say it's not just national parks that are taking a hit. We're going to hear from some of those business owners when Sunrise, streaming live at 7 o'clock, continues after this.
KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus.
We're coming up on 7:29 on our Monday morning drive, and we start off up in Salmon Creek, I-205 southbound, just past the I-5 interchange. This fender bender's been there on the shoulder for a while, and it is obviously causing some local slowing. So just plan a few extra minutes to get around that. Your other drive out of Clark County, the I-5 trip, of course, slow and steady now here in the 7 o'clock hour. At last report, we're up to about 20 minutes now to get you in from Main Street down to the Fremont Bridge. And elsewhere, we're not bad this morning. A quick look at some of the other drive times. Again, relatively in check here. The Sunset and the Banfield puttering along in their normal puttering places. Rodney.
The old puttering commute update by Chris McGinnis. Here's our Salem sky camera. This is a beautiful clear sky day that will become hot this afternoon. Clear skies in Portland as well. Early morning number is 60 out the door. 77 at noon. Take advantage of the morning because later today it looks like we get back up to about 90 degrees. I think we'll be right about 90 again tomorrow. Midweek cool down though brings clouds and only 76 on Wednesday. A little bit warmer on Thursday. Could be back to 92 this coming Friday.
All right, 7:30 half hour of the Sunrise Show. Did you know today is National Rock and Roll Day. So with that in mind, we asked our viewers last hour to tell us their all-time favorite rock and roll song. I think naming an all-time band would be hard enough.
Yeah.
But we're looking super specific here. Greatest song ever, rock and roll song. Lots of viewers chiming in. Bill said, "Hey Jude" by the Beatles.
Oh, I like that one.
It's a great.
Hey Jude.
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is, Rodney. Bring it. Rashawn says, "Let's Go Crazy" by Prince. Another classic.
Yeah.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to celebrate this thing called life. A few people said "Stairway to Heaven" by Led Zeppelin.
Oh, classic.
Hotel California got some mentions by the Eagles.
Anything by the Eagles.
Yeah, really. If you want to tell us your favorite rock and roll song, not too late to chime in on this National Rock and Roll Day. You can text us 503-226-5088. It's actually 503, okay? Don't go 508. You'll never get through.
503.
503
Yeah.
226-5088. We will share more answers later this morning because, of course, we're on till 9 o'clock in the morning these days.
Yes, we are. All right, it's a fun topic.
The Eagles, speaking, you mentioned the Eagles.
Probably my favorite. If I had to list a favorite band that wasn't country, I would go with the Eagles.
And the thing about the Eagles, which I think made them so popular, was they kind of did that before people were crossing over. They kind of crossed over from rock and roll to country.
Yeah.
People that loved country music loved the Eagles.
Yeah.
People that love rock and roll loved the Eagles. So they had a whole big audience.
All their songs are just great stories told with music. Yeah,
For sure.
Really good stuff.
All right.
All right, here's a look at our live cameras. We started off with our coastal cameras pretty much showing overcast, low clouds, and fog, but you can tell it's drying. There's sun up top. There's the cloud deck. We think this cloud deck tends to push off during the morning hours, and basically it will turn into a sunny day at the coast. All inland areas are perfectly clear on this Monday morning. Beautiful start to our day. Winds are calm, including out in the gorge, including up in the high country of the Cascades today. 60 right now. We'll be 77 at noon. Take advantage of the morning, because this afternoon we don't go crazy, but I think we will get up to around 90 degrees for high. And Chris, I think we could hit 90 again tomorrow, sir.
Whoa, getting a little warm this week. All right, let's get you out the door. Quick look at a couple of trouble spots. Well, one trouble spot, the one in the upper left-hand part of your screen. That's up near Salmon Creek. Again, I-205 southbound, just south of the I-5 split. Again, we've got some slowing here. This crash has been on the shoulder there for a good hour or so, and obviously there is some local slowing getting around that. So plan accordingly. Your I-5 drive from Clark County slow and steady from SR 500. Right now, that's about a 20-minute commute to get you from Main Street down to the Fremont Bridge. Hey, I want to let you know about this, by the way. In the gorge, of course, Vista House, a very popular visitor spot, right? Why not? It's gorgeous. But know this, ODOT is doing some landslide repair on Highway 30. So the west approach to Vista House will be closed from today through September. So if you're trying to get to Vista House, you need to access it from the east, which of course is a long way around, taking the Bridal Veil exit of Interstate 84. Drew?
All right, thank you, Chris. Quite a few news headlines to get to this half hour. We start with this. The U.S. Marshals Service is following up on a lead that Travis Decker, the father accused of killing his 3 daughters in Central Washington, may be in Idaho at this point. The Marshals Service received a tip from a family who was visiting the Sawtooth National Forest. They say they saw a man who matched Decker's description. So the person they saw was described as being between 5'8" and 5'10", with a black hat, black earrings, a cream-colored T-shirt, black shorts, and a long ponytail. The family also said he had an overgrown beard and mustache and was wearing a black JanSport backpack. Anyone who believes they may have seen Decker in the past few weeks can contact the U.S. Marshal Service tip line. That number's on your screen. It's 1-800-336-0102. You can also visit online, usmarshals.gov/tips. There is a $20,000 reward for information that leads to Decker's arrest. Sherwood police say they have a suspect in custody after a shooting on Sunday that involved one of their officers. This happened just before 4:30 yesterday afternoon on Southwest Langer Farms Parkway. Details on exactly what happened are still limited this morning, but video from the scene shows a police vehicle that looks like it got hit. It also looks like a white pickup truck was involved in the crime scene. Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue did say that 2 people were taken to the hospital. We spoke to a man who lives near this part of Sherwood.
It's pretty unnormal for this part of town. It's normally very safe and quiet and family oriented.
The Washington County District Attorney's Office Major Crimes Team is investigating this shooting. Portland police say they have a suspect in custody after a chase and standoff over the weekend. This started with officers responding to an assault call at a southeast Portland business near 151st and Stark. Police say Cameo Braceno drove off, hitting 4 vehicles, including a patrol car. They also say he broke into a home and barricaded himself inside before officers eventually arrested him. The Gillum County Sheriff's Office says a Portland man drowned over the weekend in eastern Oregon. They say it happened just after 2:30 Saturday afternoon when a 28-year-old man was swept away by the current while fishing with his family in the John Day River. He was found about 10 minutes later upriver from Cottonwood State Park. Family and bystanders tried to revive him, but he was pronounced dead when medical professionals got to the scene. And another person was taken to the hospital after their jet ski caught fire in the Columbia River, where they were using it near South Flag Island. A bystander thankfully was able to help out that jet skier with basic first aid until first responders arrived. Let's go back to eastern Oregon now, where many homes are vacant after devastating floods this spring decimated Harney County. Sunrise reporter Thomas Schultz visited the area to give us a closer look at one small town that's been struggling to hang on.
You know, a city of 2,700, our resources aren't capable of dealing with this.
There's nothing that we could have done. We did the best to prevent it.
For months, people in Burns, Oregon have dealt with the aftermath of severe flooding that overwhelmed homes. Riley Richardson grew up in Burns. She bought this home with her husband a few years ago.
Come on in. It's just a leap.
Months after flooding,
And if you come in here, this is our dining area.
the home is completely gutted.
So we had to cut drywall 4 feet up. The floor, we found a whole bunch of dry rot. This was $2,000.
The cost of new insulation is just a fraction of the $70,000 Richardson plans to spend on repairs.
I don't know if I can afford much more than that.
Many in Burns didn't have flood insurance. Richardson says many didn't think they needed it because the town never flooded badly. Though last summer, wildfires blazed through vegetation in the nearby mountains, leaving nothing to stop heavy snowpack that melted and rushed toward town this spring.
It's really hard. I wouldn't wish this on anyone.
Yeah, it's a trauma.
Across town, Richard Campbell lives in this home with his wife.
Okay.
His house is ruined too.
It's kind of a process.
A process many in Burns are undergoing. Officials say 80 to 100 families are displaced. Many packed their bags and left town with no plan to return.
We just don't have the financial infrastructure to recover from this.
Steve McCartney is the Burns police chief. He says the floods hollowed out Burns and its tax base.
This is a reminder that we have no control.
McCartney says the town was barely scraping by before the storm. Now there's uncertainty if they'll ever be able to rebuild.
We've got a tremendous amount of challenges to work through.
While city officials plan for the future, residents focus on tomorrow.
Some days it feels like you just can't catch a breath, because you're just getting smacked with more things.
In Burns, Thomas Schultz, KGW News.
Again, that's a story we've been following for months now. Thomas, obviously a great job just getting us up to date on what those people are going through. You mentioned, Rod, that the flooding is really something that no one ever wants to have to deal with, that mess that continues to be an issue there.
Yeah, and that was back in April, is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, here we are, July, and tough to tell how long it takes to really get back on your feet, right? Here's the Reserve Vineyards and Golf Club in Aloha. We have a beautiful sunny day coming. It will be toasty this afternoon as most inland areas, including Portland, Salem, and Vancouver, will get up to about 90 degrees. Out in Washington County right now, looking over the Reserve Golf Course, it's 60 degrees. Here's downtown, we're the exact same temperature. Winds are calm. Notice all the water is flat. There's the Willamette. Winds will be calm out in the Gorge, coast, up over the Cascades, all areas today. Temperatures out the door, take advantage because we'll be in that 90-degree range mid-afternoon. 63 up in Scappoose currently. Battleground, good morning, 57 for you. It's 58 out in Happy Valley, 62 down in Wilsonville this morning. Aurora, good morning, 61. Good day to antiquing, always. 62 in Salem. All right, Quinn is our KGW Dog of the Day. Use this email address, dogoftheday KGW.com, brought to you by Beaverton Toyota, and we will make your dog our dog of the day. All right, here's a look at our weather map this afternoon. Look at all the inland 90s. Most areas 90 or better. This shows you folks out in Wasco County, and the Dow's at 97. I think Portland will just get up to 90. This shows low 90s in Salem, Albany, and down to Eugene. It looks like back-to-back days around 90 today and tomorrow. Now, you wake up Wednesday morning, a wave of clouds with cooler weather comes marching in. There might be some light precip mainly along the coast. Seattle's expecting to see a little bit of rain, but it looks like Portland will probably stay dry with cloud cover, a high of 76 on Wednesday. Morning clouds to clearing during the day. Thursday warms us up a bit. And then we jump right back up. 92 Friday. Right now I have Saturday and Sunday holding in the upper 80s. But keep your eyes on that forecast. There's kind of a heat dome that's trying to push its way out over the west in the coming days into next week. We'll see how hot we get or not. Here's Chris.
Let's take you back to Clackamas County. Just getting word of some downed trees. ODOT calling this hazardous vegetation here in the Colton area. Highway 211, the westbound lane right now blocked near Holt Road. So obviously a little slow in getting around that. There are likely alternating lanes to get through the area. We'll keep you posted. Meanwhile, back to our freeway drive. There's a live look at the sunset. Highway 26, all three lanes slow and go with the sun right in the driver's face here coming up and over the Sylvan Hill. It's about a 15-mile-an-hour commute to get you in from 217. And our other trouble spot right there, I-205 southbound in Clark County. A crash on the shoulder. I'll show you that in a second. Right now, your drive times coming in from Troutdale about 23 minutes. I-5 from Wilsonville about 25 minutes. And back to that spot in Salmon Creek. That's the, whoops, don't know what happened there. But anyway, southbound 205, right shoulder there. So some local slowing getting around that scene. Drew?
Thank you, Chris.
Crater Lake is getting by on a thread right now.
Yeah, we know national parks like Crater Lake across the U.S. are feeling the pressure that comes with smaller staffs as the summer travel season heats up. But coming up in 2 minutes, we're also going to hear from local businesses who say they're getting hit hard too. The Sunrise Show, streaming live at 7 o'clock, starts once more in 2 minutes.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
Issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yes.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
It's certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on KGW Plus.
Welcome back to Sunrise. National parks provide the setting for many people's summer vacations, but those parks are getting tested this summer thanks to staffing cuts. That includes the only national park in Oregon, Crater Lake. Here's NBC's Kathy Park with more.
Our national parks have never been more popular.
It's just been beautiful and we've loved every minute of it.
With a record-breaking 331 million visits across hundreds of sites last year alone. But this year, tourists could be heading into uncharted territory. Citing internal data from the Interior Department, a watchdog group says the National Park Service has lost 24% of its permanent staff since January.
I think if I were to describe the Smokies in a word or a phrase, it would be a roller coaster.
Jackie Harp is the CEO of Smokies Life, a nonprofit offering educational services and support to Great Smoky Mountains National Park. She says her organization has been stepping in for years, helping the most visited national park in the country, and that this year people may notice some setbacks.
There's been some reduced capacity around things like campgrounds and picnic areas. Those all opened later than typical.
Katie Brandert and her family drove in from Nebraska. They say they were aware of possible disruptions even before they left home.
We did things like looked ahead on the national park websites to see where there are extra passes we need to get or admission kind of vouchers if they were going to kind of cut back on the number of tourists coming through the area.
And challenges aren't just isolated to the Smokies, they're happening in national parks across the country. A National Park Service official telling NBC News at Yosemite seasonal hirings were delayed earlier in the year, and as a result, some staff, including scientists and park managers, took on extra duties like cleaning restrooms and trash maintenance, which lasted for about a month. That official adding the park is now well staffed and they can provide safe, meaningful experiences for visitors. Jan Bergman, visiting Yosemite from Ohio, telling us he noticed large crowds, but nothing big enough to ruin his trip.
We had already booked our travel, so we came, figured we would just make the best of it.
And it's not just tourists. Some nearby businesses say they're facing challenges. Lee Zimmerman owns and operates Rush Creek Lodge.
Bookings have been way down this year, for the summer in particular. People were scared about whether the parks were going to be sufficiently staffed. That ended up not being a problem, but at the time that scared people away.
Over at Crater Lake National Park in Oregon, Kevin Heatley says he became the park superintendent in January, and nearly 5 months later, he stepped down, citing the strain on staffing.
Crater Lake is getting by on a thread right now. We have employees that are putting in routinely on a 2-week pay cycle, putting in 60 hours of overtime on snow removal. That's just not sustainable.
We reached out to the National Park Service regarding changes to staffing this year, but haven't heard back yet. While this summer has been running smoothly, some fear what the future could hold for America's crown jewels.
The national park system is iconic. It is beloved by the American people. If you want to shoot yourselves in the foot, mess with the national park system.
Kathy Park, NBC News, Great Smoky Mountains National Park.
Thoughts, Rod?
Well, we were both surprised that that's the most visited. Sure. Chris McGinnis, Johnny on the Google over there, tells us
confirms
12 million people visited that park a year ago, and Chris confirming sources online saying, yeah, Great Smoky Mountain is the most visited national park.
Yeah, I can't even repeat the correct name at this point. I mean, it's definitely not on my list of top 5 national parks to go visit. I would think like Yellowstone would be up there.
That's what I would think. But I mean, I remember
Crater Lake.
Kid, we drove through there, really pretty.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not
Crater
familiar.
Lake is just, boy, it takes a long time to get there.
Yeah, my sons are talking about a camping trip to Crater Lake later this summer without Dad. So good luck, boys.
It does not disappoint. it is gorgeous, no doubt. We are looking at a clear sky day, all quiet here in the northwest. Just some morning clouds along the beach, but those are showing signs of breaking up. This back here is a cool pocket that will bring some Wednesday rain showers up around Seattle, bring cloudiness to us and cool us back down after a couple of 90-degree days. I have Portland at 90 today and 90 tomorrow. No alerts for this Monday, but for tomorrow, a couple things. A Tuesday heat advisory, Hermiston east of Pendleton up into Washington for temperatures tomorrow, 100 to 105. And then we have a Tuesday fire weather watch for much of central Oregon. This is tomorrow afternoon, evening for the potential of lightning strikes with no rain, what we call dry thunderstorms. You get the cumulus convection, you get the lightning, you don't have the water that comes down with it, and that heightens the chance of fire starts. We'll keep an eye on that tomorrow. Here are the temperature projections just for tomorrow afternoon at about 4:30. This shows Arlington at 106, Yakima at 105, Pendleton at 103, the Dow's 97, John Day 102, and Baker City 101. So hot weather coming to you folks tomorrow. You will cool down with the rest of us on Wednesday, and this does show 90-degree temperatures in Portland, Salem, and Corvallis tomorrow. Here's a look at that thunderstorm threat tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock. This is only picking up the storms that produce some precipitation, but you can see not a ton, but some action. There's some pretty good storms south of Pendleton. Here's that cooler weather waiting offshore tomorrow that will sweep into our area and bring cloudiness with it on Wednesday. So sun, warm weather lovers, today and tomorrow is your day. Then we'll get more comfortable starting on Wednesday. Right now, clear skies over the city. 60 is the number. We have calm winds, 62 in Salem. The Dow 65. Again, light winds all areas today, including out in the Columbia River Gorge. Here's the coast forecast. Seeing some breaks in cloud cover. A sunny afternoon is expected. 67 in Pacific City today. Really nice. Valley numbers up to about 93 in Salem. Again, not crazy hot, not record heat, but catches your attention, so plan accordingly. Get some things done outside this morning. 89 Battleground, 90 in Vancouver, light northwest winds, light north winds. And here's our 7-day. We go 90-90. There are the clouds and cooler numbers on Wednesday, 76. Thursday may get up to 80 if we clear out of morning clouds quickly enough. Back up to about 90 or 92 on Friday. Right now I show upper 80s for this upcoming weekend. Well, kind of a typical just dry, sunny, warm to hot 7-day, except for Wednesday and Thursday, Chris.
Keep watering the flowers at this point. All right, let's get you back to Salmon Creek. Really, our only significant trouble spot of the morning has been this, a crash on the shoulder. It looks like they finally got that thing up on a tow truck here. No word on any injuries, by the way. This is in Salmon Creek at 205 southbound, just south of the I-5 interchange. And this has been the cause of some significant slowing here for the last about 90 minutes or so. So that's a little bit of a slow commute. Of course, I-5 slow and steady from SR 500 as well, to the tune of about 25 minutes now to get you in from Main Street down to the Fremont Bridge. So there's a quick look at the Banfield. That's not in too bad a shape. Drive times are in check. 30 minutes right now will get you in from Wilsonville on northbound I-5. Hey, heads up if you're like to take guests and visitors from out of town to Crown Point Vista House. It's one of those iconic, spots in the Columbia River Gorge. You won't be able to get to it from the west side. Highway 30 will be closed starting today for some old landslide repair. So if you're trying to get to that Vista House, that is, you're going to need to access it from the Bridal Veil exit of Interstate 84. Drew, that's from today through the end of September.
Thank you, Chris. Still to come here on the Sunrise Show, the summer storms hitting parts of the East Coast that are causing travel nightmares for people looking to get back home from their 4th of July getaways. Sunrise, streaming live at 7 o'clock, will continue right after this.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
Millions of people got stuck at airports on the East Coast thanks to stormy weather, causing lots of headaches for people trying to get home after the 4th of July. For more on this story, here's NBC's Stephanie Gosk.
This morning, a huge cleanup is underway after Tropical Storm Chantal slammed parts of the Carolinas with up to 7 inches of rain and dangerous winds reaching 60 miles per hour. The intense storm eventually weakening to a tropical depression after making landfall, but still flooding roadways and causing a stretch of highway to collapse. This on the busiest travel day of the long weekend. An estimated 62 million people were expected on the roads over the 4th of July.
I think the main thing was to beat the holiday traffic back home.
The storms snarling travel on highways and causing chaos at airports nationwide, with more than 7,000 flight delays on Sunday, which the TSA projected as the busiest day, with an estimated 3 million passengers being screened. At Chicago's O'Hare, some passengers stranded for hours on end after thunderstorms triggered a ground stop.
I'm hoping my flight gets out of here.
But some travelers taking the crowds in stride and planning ahead for the uptick in traffic.
We actually did our boarding passes at home. We paid for the bags at home, and we just dropped them off.
Again, that was Stephanie Gosk reporting for us this morning. Meanwhile, coming up tonight here on KGW, the debut of a new NBC show called Survival Mode. Each episode of this show will give an inside look at how people were able to survive some of the world's most devastating disasters, both natural and man-made. Tonight's episode will focus on the Category 5 tornado that hit Joplin, Missouri in 2011, the deadliest tornado in the U.S. in 60 years.
When the glass broke, I think that just pushed everybody into action, and the closest place that we were at was the cooler. I was responsible for all these people, and in the matter of like 5 or 6 seconds, all 25 of us had rushed in there, and just trying to get in there before something bad happened.
Once the door was open, Aaron physically tossed me into the cooler.
I remember being very adamant about her being the first one in there, just because I had that overwhelming need to protect her and keep her safe.
I was the last person in the cooler, just because I wanted to make sure that we got everybody in there. And I looked out to the front of the store and I saw the window frames and the door frame of the store lift off into the air. Like the tornado was actually picking the front of the store up as I was shutting the cooler door.
Again, the show is called Survival Mode. It airs tonight at 10 o'clock on KGW. The Sunrise Show continues next hour here on KGW+. So coming up in the 8 o'clock hour, we'll have the latest on the flooding in central Texas as the death toll continues to rise and rescue crews work to find the many who are still missing. And we'll also have the latest on the search for Travis Decker, the man accused of killing his 3 young daughters in central Washington. Details on the new tip that has that search for Decker focused on Idaho.